Hey, Ross, how's it going?
Oh, you know.
Yeah, I can't stop the recording. I don't have the rights, so.
I don't know if I can either, but I can't figure out how.
All right, I think I'm going to declare a quorum and we'll go ahead and get started. So everybody, Happy New Year. So we're here talking static analysis office hours. It is January 7th and we'll go ahead and get into the agenda. And Greg, you're bringing us a demo. Floor is yours, sir.
All right. Yeah. So I think it was the last static application security office hours we went through, or Sherry was there, and we actually discussed infrastructure as code scanners. And so I did a quick little proof of concept with different code scanners or infrastructure as code scanners. And I'll just go through where I'm at with that. It's been kind of a fun exercise. So Ansible lint, I got this running on a bunch of playbooks. Then we have Cube linter, which is a newer one. Puppet lint, which I think was specifically mentioned in the issue, as well as Terrascan. The ones where I did figure out how to get it in JSON output, I do have that set up. So we got some JSON here. CFN.
My zoom in a little bit, sorry.
Oh, sure thing.
Yeah.
Okay, there. Is that better? This is just showing the job results here. So CFN scan or CFN nag. And this is Chekhov. We have all of the code and things. Oh, this one, I don't know why it broke. It was working. I'll figure that out. But that one's GPL v3 anyways, so we probably not going to integrate that into our product. And then this one, I did just a proof of concept as saving the output as a JSON artifact. And really all it is a collection of really simple templates here to just start off with the base image, install the stuff. Sometimes it clones a sample project and then runs the scanner.
You surface the results to the MR or just you show example you put into the artifact?
So for at this stage, I did not dive too deep into exposing it through the user interface or actually using, I know there's a template for new scanners. This is basically just a proof of concept to show that with a few lines in a CI file, we can essentially run these CI scanner or infrastructure as code analysis or scanners to do linting output or security output, just showing that it can be done basically. And I did go through some of them. I started going through then and looking for licenses that would be compatible with our product, specifically MIT and Apache 2 ones there. Those would be easier. And then checking the output, how hard would it be to get it in a JSON format that we could ingest and put into the UI.
Very good. Would you mind share the project? It's like right now the project now. We can take a look at it. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, so I'll jump in here. this is great exploratory work. I think we're going to see a lot of interest and growth in the IAC area. It's a key capability for Gartner, which we've got a very small amount of today. I think this is definitely something that will want to grow in 2021. So I think this is a really great investigation for us. And it's really just a question of looking at these tools. I think I'll want to get Sam White's thoughts on which of these he'd want to prioritize and just kind of slate it into our new analyzer workflow to find time to get this added to our list of supported languages. So yeah, I mean, great work. I think it's excellent. And I think it's definitely going to be an area where we'll see growth this year.
Yeah, I was working with the customer who's on our .com server. That's where they were learning how to do infrastructure as code. That was in the summer. They want to do lint for Terraform script. So I have now they're looking at the gold. So tomorrow we'll have a call. So I suspect the conversation will come up. That's why I want to take a look at quickly your proof of concept. And if anything, they're looking for, I can at least know, we're thinking about it. I did send the example to them a long time ago after talking to you folks. I think it was a super linter back then. There was an example I provided. So I can also find out where they are with that. Get some feedback as well.
All right. Thanks, Greg.
You bet.
That was fun over the holidays. All right. I see Dominic's got a comment, but can't turn on microphone, noting about some grep having scanning rules as well. With a link that's available there, people want to get more information about that. We'll go ahead and move on to tech support. Greg, you've got the next couple. Go for it. So you loaded up our agenda today.
I did not mean to dominate the conversation, so I will be quick, but yeah.
Bring it on, man.
Love these office hours. So first, Java Home is not set, or it seems like it's not set for some customers in Spotbugs 2 image, the latest Docker image. And I'm wondering if there's a workaround to have a default Java Home. It has come up in 2 tickets, and it really seems like a build issue more than like if they could build the project and do the pre-compilation, then everything would be just fine. But they are often using before scripts trying to build or trying to build with the Spotbugs 2 image, and it's not having Java Home is throwing some errors.
Yeah, so I'll just vocalize my comments then here. So Spotbugs is complicated. Part of its nature is that it can build a large variety of projects. So that's Gradle build, Maven build, Ant, whatever. And basically what that means is it moves the complexity of the project compilation further into the analyzer itself. So once the analyzer fires up, it checks the environment variables, it checks the project state, and determines how to build that project. So because of that, further into the actual analyze step, it checks what Java version it might be and sets the Java Home. Because of that, when you fire up the initial container, Java Home is not set. So we could set a default one, but that won't really work unless the customer is using our default. Because it's a build path that has like the version in it. It will say Java Home default to 8. So copy C asserts into Java 8 path, and then later determine that it's Java 11, and it won't work. There's really 2 ways we can fix that. One is to move the specific issue that you linked. It looks like that is failing because we are assuming Java Home is set at startup to copy any custom certs into the appropriate path. So we can either move the custom cert copying further into the analyzer where all the rest of the setup works, or we need to start extracting this complex project auto setup like further forward in the process. So it's basically either move a lot more into the initial setup scripts or move the CA cert further into the analyzer itself. Both have trade-offs, but yeah, that looks like a bug that we should find. I'm not sure the solution will be that Java Home is set, but it will solve the issue for this specific user. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. And now that I look at it, so I think it's actually two different issues. And one, I think thank you for the great rundown. That makes a lot of sense. The other user, which I linked in the comments, I guess, tell me if this sounds right. Like the fact that they're trying to do their build stage in a before script with that spot bug SAS2 is what's really blocking them. It's not the same issue as what we see here with the certs. It's just, it's not set by default, and the before script just pulls it and starts running stuff instead of having the actual the regular script that spot bug SAS would do.
Yeah, I think so. So I think that it is a bug that if we have a default Java version, we should have a default Java home set. So that is something that we should do, but that fix alone would only help a customer who is using our default Java version. I'm trying to pull up that ticket now. I don't know which version they were using. So whether or not that specific fix would solve that problem is TBD. But aside from the default version, I'm not sure we can support a before script setup using a non-default Java version appropriately. That depends on Java Home, which if we can't, we just need to document that limitation and workarounds.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good. I think we can move on. And if you do want to dive into that ticket, we can hop on that together. But it does seem like just the build step itself is problematic. Not anything in particular with GitLab.
Yeah, and I think so. The code snippet that I left here. Let me actually change these to numbers so it's easier to track them. I here, the one I'm selected on. So we do have a method within to switch to a specific Java version. So maybe we should document that specific method in a before script call, which should define it. So there is at least a expected way by which you set your Java version and subsequently set the Java home. But there's definitely a couple bugs here and a couple of things that we should document better how to use. So yeah, I'll try and write up at least the points that I'm seeing here, and we can follow up.
Good deal. Thank you.
Greg, you want to keep going?
Yeah, I will keep this ball going. So I'm planning a SAS deep dive for support, which is basically just a training session. I come up with some training materials, put together a live video that's recorded, where we dive deep into static application security testing features. I was thinking one neat collaboration opportunity or artifact out of this would be a project or set of projects we support and customers can leverage to easily replicate how the scanners should work and what the output should look like if everything was set up perfectly. I've said it a number of times before, but it seems like with SAS jobs, a lot of times the problem is in the customizations. And if we can get customers to try a job with the defaults and they see the output runs, if the scanner runs, it produces usable output on a different project than the one they're trying, then that helps move support tickets along. Like, it's not SAST that's broken, it's something with this specific project. And so I was wondering, I know we had a like demo project in the past before. I cloned it and I've been just kind of making modifications to that, but for future collaboration or ideas on how to go about doing this, where support and SaaS team can work together, I'd love to hear them.
So this is a little different than what my comments originally were about. From a troubleshooting perspective, I think this is an area where we absolutely could have better troubleshooting docs. And I say that for SaaS, but I think it's true for all of our security scanners of what is the list of things to do and what order to try to troubleshoot something. I don't think we have that documented anywhere very clearly. It's like, turn on debug mode. Like, did you get the output? Like, get it into a place where we can actually see it. Like, I think thinking of this more in terms of what would a troubleshooting documentation page look like might be the way for us to start. And if there are resources or test demos or whatever that we link to from that, approach it more from the documentation standpoint. And I do think that would be super helpful both for the current troubleshooting that we do in calls like this, in customer calls, as well as support tickets.
Yeah, sounds good. Sounds good.
I know from my experience, I was recently working with a customer, and Taylor, I think you were on this Slack thread, but they needed, they had a bunch of class files that they wanted scanned, but they came from other source code projects. And they only wanted to do one SAST job. So we needed the analyzer, the static analysis to, the build process was across other locations. And then the scanning process, they wanted to manually execute the spot bugs command. And then they wanted the analyzer to then just convert the XML output from spot bugs into the proper GitLab JSON format. Our documentation, and I plan on doing a follow-up, but our documentation didn't specify that like the analyzer is expecting the XML output. That's not really clear anywhere. It's kind of hidden behind the scenes. I had to dig through the source code to be able to pull that, but we were able to, manually run the Maven job in one location, manually run the spot bugs command directly from the container that we have, and then manually run the analyzer job after that, and with success. But it would be helpful to, just to kind of provide some clarity as to what's going on behind the scenes when the analyzer runs.
All right. Greg, keep going, man. What's the next one? All right.
All right. So this question came up in a merge request I made, which was just a docs only merge request, where people, basically anybody who's not on Ultimate or Gold, was not getting downloadable artifacts for one of their jobs. I think there might be more than one. The output in the user interface was not particularly helpful. Oh yeah, you can see in the screenshots in that issue, it says that it created the report, but you don't actually see the results for PHP CS security audit. And technical writer Russell brought up, should this be standard in the SaaS template, that if you're not on Ultimate or Gold, you get these downloadable results. So yeah, what do y'all think?
I'll argue you're looking for the output of the epic that that has been put in below. So I'm not going to directly answer your question. I'm just saying that there are changes in flight that I think will address the question.
Yeah, so I've got a question here. So the epic that's mentioned there basically is just making security scan results more visible to core users in the MR. So basically bring downloadable artifacts into the MR itself. These artifacts are already created today. Why is there not a download button there? Because I will say we do have lots of customers who go to the job to try to find the artifact, can't find it, and we have to tell them, like, go to the pipeline page and see the pipeline artifacts. And that is not clear to them at all. Is this like just a flag we need to turn on somewhere? Does this have other?
One line of code, and I always do it.
What is the negative side effect here? Does this increase storage costs or anything like that? Should we turn this on in our templates?
Yes.
I don't remember. I remember there being discussion of it duplicating storage, but I don't remember if that's in context of your question or not.
Well, that was for downloading artifacts and downloading the zip of the artifacts. And that, I believe, with the new GraphQL API endpoint has been resolved. This probably warrants a, like, should we add this to our security template? If it's truly a one-line change, like, I think this would be a great usability improvement. But we should make sure there's no negative side effects.
The JSON files should be fairly lightweight anyway, so even if you're storing it, it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, we've got analytics on that as well, and that is generally true. There's, of course, a long tail of very odd projects that have giant outputs, but that's few and far between.
Could I humbly request a bug be filed by someone?
I will take a first stab at this and probably butcher it.
If you take a first stab, I can take a second stab.
Okay, yeah, I'll put the issue here.
Okay.
And I'm wondering, the only thing that I could think of outside of possible duplicate storage would be expiration for artifacts. I think there's an automatic expiration date, and we might not want the artifact to expire for the default branch. If it would delete the report or whatever is ingested by GitLab, then it could create problems with comparing, but I'm speculating at this point.
Yeah, so the report ingestion mechanism is actually taking the JSON output and loading it into the database. So even if the artifact gets expired, you won't have any problems there. Anything on the default branch nowadays, the most recent pipeline, the most recent pipeline's artifacts remain indefinitely until a newer pipeline comes about. I think that was just like maybe 13.5 or 13.6.
All right, good to know.
So right now, all the security reports just include like the artifacts, reports, and then the name of the report, and then the path to the report. We would just include artifacts, paths, and then the path to the report as well. And then I would let users specify their own expiration if they don't like how long they're persisting.
Yeah, thank you.
For sure.
In the interest of time, I see we've got 2 questions left, so I think we're going to move to the non-Greg portion of the program. So Sherry, you're up.
Yeah, now I'm dominating the conversation. Thank you, Taylor, for the sample example, the sample project. Yeah, for secret detection. My question is, yeah, so great, you folks fixed the problem for no match error when somehow we detect the language, but the language file is not there. Super, that's wonderful. But I did find myself from time to time update the CI variable to remove some analyzers because I come across a lot of customer TypeScript projects, they don't even know what kind of languages they have. Then they just specifically say, don't scan this, don't scan that. So I end up, okay, good. I end up, just cheat by creating that CI variable. Okay, cool. Oh, good. Thank you. I thought there has to be a better way.
There will be.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Excellent. Yeah. So I end up doing for 2 customers. Luckily, one we actually closed in December. So we're looking at implementing them for all the application security scan replace Verico. Another one I did it for kind of 3 prospects. So one is closed, 2 still pending. So we will see. I do have a question. There is another issue about unknown. The type is unknown for a lot of ESLint type of issues discovered. I don't have the issue number handy. Do you folks, Lucas, do you know where we are with that issue, or Thomas? I can look it up afterwards. I do have a customer waiting on that. Like our ESLint and a bunch of scanners just output ton of vulnerabilities as unknown. And our customers look at them, say that actually the severity should be high, some even critical. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So there's an epic for this, and let me just find the link to that.
Taylor sent it to me before I even commented, but I just have you folks on the call. I just want to find out quickly where we are.
Yeah, so we don't currently have that scheduled. I have leftover. I have some work in progress work on attaching severities to ESLint and so below as well, but haven't really had time to prioritize that. I'm hoping to get to that within this release, or at least start merging that in.
Okay.
But yeah, the epic is the best thing to follow. We don't really have that broken down in units of work, unfortunately.
Yeah, so maybe I can go back, comment again to give a priority which scanner to look at first. If you have to do scanner by scanner, ideally it should cover for all. I know there are 2 or 3 that's impacted. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know the epic. I will dig it up myself. Okay, thanks.
I'll go ahead and ask my question, and I'm going to make you go back to the example you gave. It was like customer requested we don't scan TypeScript files, or something. That was the one, like they didn't know what they had and they were surprised and they didn't want it scanned. Typical project organization that I run it, that I've seen when that occurs, is that files of particular type are in a specific directory. So why wouldn't excluded DIRs work for that use case? Yeah,
so the example I have, this is one large .com customer. It's a TypeScript, so they might end up using other tools in it. They don't always necessarily know every possible type. So our to detect VB, detect 4 or 5 of them, and I asked them, they say, oh, we're not aware of those. And then I had to scan through their source code to look for them. And then sometimes I don't find them. So I just went ahead, comment out the analyzer. I would dig up the more details and actually send you a summary of what that project looked like.
That would be useful. I would appreciate that. Thank you.
All right.
All right. I think we made it through the entirety of the agenda, and we're right at time. So I think we're going to stop there. So thank you, everybody, for your time and attention. Thank you for coming. We appreciate all your questions, even from people not named Greg. So anyway, so anyway, I hope everybody has a great rest of your week, and we'll talk to you again next week. See ya.
Bye now.